Hey church, were you into extracurricular activities growing up? I did extracurricular sports all through high school. I did every single sport all year round. And my favorite was basketball. It was my sophomore year, and I was the star player of the basketball team. And we were going to a provincial tournament. Now, these tournaments, a bunch of schools from all across the province get together in one city for a weekend, and they play one another. In this particular one, we were not going to win. We knew it, everybody knew it, and when this happens, it becomes so much more fun because you're the underdog. Now, these tournaments aren't fun anyway because you're in a different city, hanging out with your friends at a hotel, going to the pool, going to McDonald's across the street, and just hanging out, and it's just so much fun. Some of my favorite memories. Now, we have made it to the semifinals of this tournament, and nobody thought we would make it this far. And it was the last quarter with 5 seconds left on the clock, and we were down by 1 point. Now, we shot the ball with 0 seconds left on the clock, and it hit the back of the rim, and it rimmed out. I'm gonna be honest with you, I spent the next 20 minutes crying in a dark hallway after we shook hands with the other team. And I remember this moment so vividly because I forgot everything that happened beforehand. I forgot all the great memories, all the fun that we had before this because of this defeat. And sometimes we can end up in these places, right? We get into ruts in life. We get into these moments where we just can't really see ahead of where we're at right now. We've got this wall blocking us from the certainty of our future. And we just forget about how faithful God's been in our past. Now, we're spending the next 20 days talking about gratefulness. We're talking about thankfulness and God's faithfulness in our lives. The next 20 days, we're doing 20 videos with 20 different verses. And today, I get to share this verse from Colossians 3:15. It says, "Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body, we were called to live in peace." And Paul finishes it this way. He says, "And always be thankful." Now, I love the word rule in this. He specifically uses the word rule. It derives from the word umpire or referee. It's a sports term, and it talks about how we allow our hearts to be our rulers, not the other way around. And he actually calls us to allow Christ to be the ruler of our hearts, to regulate what our heart is thinking. Now, I don't know about you, but growing up, people always said, follow your dreams, follow your feelings, ask what your heart is telling you and follow that. And the Bible actually counters this and says that who can know the heart? Because the heart is the most deceitful thing. It will actually deceive us into believing that it is a ruler of our lives. A lot of times we make decisions on things and we say, hey God, can you co-sign right here? I'm gonna make a decision, and then can you give me your peace after that? Or Paul is saying to let the peace of Christ be first. Let this be what makes your decisions for you. And let that be what's in your heart. Now, specifically, he says that this is what we're called to do as members of one body. And I love this because when I think back on this past year, when I think back of how God's been faithful this entire year, I think back on our church and how blessed we are with some of the people. I don't know if you've met some of the new people that have been going to our church, but they're just so awesome. We've met some of our closest friends and just the most faithful people. And during this pandemic, we've seen an epidemic of how the church has really come together. I remember porch drop-offs. I remember hanging out in people's backyards, being 6 feet away. I remember birthdays where we would drive by and just honk at people when it's their birthday. And it was so much fun. And I think back on this past year and how good God has been. You know, when we look ahead to a future that's uncertain, we can look back and see how His faithfulness is unwavering. Church, would you just take a second right now and just comment down in the comments below. Just thank Him for one thing from this past year. You know, share something that maybe somebody from church has done for you, maybe a porch drop off, or again, somebody celebrating your birthday or something. Would you share one thing? We would love that. And the next 20 days are gonna be so much fun. We got Pastor Laura, she's gonna be sharing tomorrow, and it's gonna be awesome. Thank you so much. We will see you soon.